welcome to another episode of the Poverty Franchise Podcast. My name is PJ, and today we're going to be going over NFL Week 15's action. I know this is a little later than usual. This is coming mere hours before the Thursday night game of Week 16, but I'm late. It happens. Starting with the Thursday night game, then moving into the Saturday night games, the Niners beat the Seahawks, which puts the Seahawks in a very precarious position of slipping out of that playoff spot, 21-13. The Colts just blow and ever got the biggest lead in NFL history to the Vikings. The Vikings win in OT. They blow a 33-point lead. Jeff Saturday is the... try to think. Is he the second or worst head coach? We'll decide that after in a little bit. The Browns beat the shorthanded Ravens 13-3. Bills beat the Dolphins 32-29. Steelers best the Panthers 24-16. The Panthers' hot streak, or getting hotter, is pretty much over. Kenny Pickett was able to come back, so I think my condition was last week's. I remember that predictions. If Trubisky is starting, the Panthers would probably win because their defense is sneakily good. However, with Kenny Pickett was able to clear concussion protocol, they were not going to win that game. Bears keep it close against the Eagles, 25-20. Fields showed out yet another great game. Jalen Hurts is hurt. That's a bad pun. He'll probably be out 2 weeks. The Eagles will be playing for that first seed, and they'll be starting Gardner Minshew against the Cowboys, so that'll be very interesting to see. Chiefs beat the Texans in OT. Texans are playing much better ball than we think, or people are playing down to their competition. I don't know. Cowboys blow a big lead, end the game on a pick six, loose the Jaguars 40-34. Trevor Lawrence is the best of the second-year quarterbacks, I think. I think he's a more polished passer than Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has the ability to be way more electric and makes probably the flashier plays because he can do so much with his legs. Can't knock Trevor Lawrence in his legs. He's great talent all around as well. He's definitely the best quarterback of the second-year guys. Justin Fields is the second best. I think Justin Fields was as polished passer as Trevor Lawrence. However, the potential for Justin Fields is a bit higher than Trevor Lawrence. But, hey, they've been 1-2 basically their entire careers for the exception of the NFL draft, where Trey Lance and Mac Jones are picked in between them. No, wait, Mac Jones was picked after. I have to look at that draft order again because I completely forgot. No, because I was afraid the Bears were going to draft Mac Jones. So, yeah, it was Trey Lance was in between them. Saints beat the Falcons 21-18. Desmond Ridder is very rough. They do got a stud running back in Algier, though. The man out of BYU. Again, when me and Ethan discussed, he was a stud out of BYU. He was a good pick. Definitely helped with Cordero Patterson's definitely the long-term answer they got at running back. So if Desmond Ridder can develop a bit better and the defense, which again, not the world's worst unit, can get a true edge rusher either in free agency or the draft with the weak NFC South, because there's no real indicator that's going to get much better next year. I mean, the indicator is probably going to get worse before it gets better. But Brady's probably going to retire or play one more year. With the Saints are fucked, and the Panthers are also in limbo offensively. The Panthers have a playoff caliber defensive unit and talent, mainly led by J.C. Horn, who's probably one of the bigger Pro Bowl snubs. We'll get to that later as well. However, it is going to be, I think the Falcons, again, if Ridder develops right, Kyle Pitts comes back healthy next year, Drake London continues to develop, Algier, the line gets better, and I think they're really an edge rusher away. Edge rusher maybe, I think Trey Anderson might get better too, but I think they're an edge rusher away from winning that division, to be honest with you, and more consistent quarterback play. Those are your two things. If Desmond Ridder is a high-level game manager, they'll be in the playoffs next year. No doubt in my mind. The Lions beat the Jets 20-17, and now they are 500. They were 1-6. They're the hottest team in the NFL right now. I wouldn't want to play them in a wild card game with the way they're playing. They're playing lights-out football. Sure, they got an easy one offensive, for their defensive unit, but the defense is shaping up this year. The offense is back to that beginning of the year roots where they were, and their defense has at least become an average unit to kind of commingle there. Now, where does Jeff Saturday fall in the worst coach discussion? Somewhere in between Nathaniel Hackett and Cliff Kingsbury. The Broncos won 24-15 with Brett Rypien starting a quarterback. The Cardinals are eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, that's probably the two most disappointing teams in the NFL right there. Like, no doubt about it. I mean, both have the talent, and the damn Cardinals let Latavius Murray run for 130 fucking yards. You can't let Latavius Murray in 2022 run for 130 goddamn yards in one fucking game. I mean, that's just unreal. I mean, man, 32, man. He 32, bro. He 32, dog. Latavius Murray was good back in the day, though. Latavius Murray is also a really good Madden running back, but that's neither here nor there. Both coaches do need to be fired. Lost seasons for both. More loss for the Broncos because the Seahawks are getting their draft pick. So Titans lose to the Chargers 17-14. Ryan Tannehill might be done for the year. So it's up to Malik Willis to kind of save them in the division. They're slumping. The defense is slumping. They still don't have offensive weapons other than Derrick Henry, to be honest with you. Malik Willis is not ready at the moment. And the Jaguars are catching up. The Jaguars had a couple bad losses earlier in the year. If they didn't have those bad losses, they'd be in control of the division, and Jags have tiebreaker. So they're going to have to... The Titans are going to have to batten down the hatches before the Jags come up behind you. That's another team. The Jags have a home playoff game. That's another team I really wouldn't want to see in the playoffs as a wild card. If only that Doug Peterson has proven that he can take teams, especially teams that on paper do not have the world's most talent, deep in the playoffs. He's shown he can do that. I mean, even and then through just pure bullshit luck, like with the double doink or the Nick Foles run, he'll find a way. Also, speaking of Jeff Saturday, I completely fucking forgot. I got to circle back all the way to that. They mentioned Matt Ryan and Nick Foles is starting next week, so he's back. He's back. Bengals beat the Buccaneers 34-23. Buccaneers blew a lead. Buccaneers just aren't a good football team, but they're going to get a home playoff game, so hey, good for them. Giants and Commanders have a very controversial matchup in terms of the ref ball, the refereeing going on there, especially when it comes to Terry McLaurin. Giants win. The Commanders' playoff hopes get dashed pretty good. They still hold sway over the Seahawks and Lions with that tie they have. The thing is that they're going to have to win out to stay in the playoffs. They drop another game. They're not, and the Lions and the Seahawks either find a way to recoup and get back in it, or the Lions keep surging. Yeah. Raiders beat the Patriots 30-24 off of one of the most improbable Jacoby Myers and Ramondre Stevenson. Again, he took a really good game. He rushed for 172 yards on the ground on only 19 carries, and he threw that shit all the way away, man. The game was tied. You could have went to OT. It's the Raiders' defense. You're scoring on them. Your defense was stopping them pretty okay. And Chandler Jones takes that backwards lateral all the way to the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, putting Mac Jones in the dirt. Fire Matt Patricia. And the Packers beat the Rams 24-12. Packers keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Rams get eliminated. They also have no first-round pick, but they sold their soul for that last Super Bowl, and so God help them, that's what they're going to do. Baker Mayfield looks like a dude who you threw into your starting lineup a week ago. There's not much Sean McVay can really do here. It's just kind of a lost year. These things happen in football. Like, this shit happens. You know, you win a Super Bowl, the next year you're ass. It happens sometimes, but it's not really much you can do about it. Looking at the divisions in the playoff races right now, the AFC East, the Bills are 11-3. They would need to win out and have the Eagles go 1-4 in the next games, or 1-3 in the next games to get the first round bye. They could still do it. It's just highly unlikely that the Eagles will drop all those games. The Dolphins are 8-6, clinging on to that one of those 3 wild card spots. The Bengals and Ravens are still fighting over the division lead. The Bengals probably will win the division. And the Ravens, barring a complete collapse with Lamar, should be coming back later, before the year is out. Should be able to. They should both be able to get into the playoffs. The most interesting teams, also the Chiefs, will be in the same boat. Or, I don't know why I said, "Oh my God," I just compared to divisions. Oh, the Chiefs and Bills are fighting for the bye right now. The only other team that can really get into the mix is the Bengals. Again, unless the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals all collapse towards the end of the year, the Ravens could get that bye. The Titans have no chance of it. So right now, if you're looking at the playoff picture, the Chargers and Dolphins should be able to get in. The Raiders mathematically aren't eliminated through some miracle, but I think they might as well be. Same with the Steelers and Browns. Too much would have to go right. The Jets and Patriots are right there at 8-6 though. They're all they're 7-7 each. They can all, you drop a game, they can all kind of get back into the mix. The Dolphins are slumping at the wrong time. The Ravens are slumping at the wrong time, especially with the injury. And the Titans are slumping at the wrong time. They're 7-7. They're only a game above the Jags. The Jags hold tiebreaker, and I think this is the most interesting matchup or playoff spot in the year. The Titans have a gimme next week that they have to win. They got the Texans at home. You have the Cowboys at home, who, will they be resting players? Will they not be? Well, if the Eagles slip up, there's a chance they can win the division still. And also, they would want to, they still would want to beat the Vikings and play the worst wild card team, which at the current moment would be the Commanders. It could be a date in hell and be the Lions, or the Seahawks, right? It'll be one of those teams, or the Giants even. Those are all teams. I think the Buccaneers probably end up getting the Giants, or they can play, or they're gonna go play the Buccaneers. Let's be honest, they're gonna go play the fucking Buccaneers. At the end of the day, they're gonna play the Buccaneers. They're not gonna play the Vikings or the Niners. So, but there's a chance that they could end up winning the division still, but it's very unlikely. I don't think they'll be resting guys 2 weeks before the end of the season. So that's gonna be a tough match. Then they got the Jags in Duval, week 18. That is a rough go of it. They can easily go 1-2 in that, and the Jags could win out. They have the ailing Jets again, starting Zach Wilson. They have the Texans in Houston. Then they end with the Titans. For the Jags, they would have to win out. They've already beat the Titans once this year at their place. They can probably do it again. But they're going to have to win out. Their toughest game left is the Jets, I think, in New York. The defensive unit is stout. I like to grind the team down. The thing is, I think they can just put up a slight bit more points and win that game. I really do. And I think the Jags, again, I give the Jags pretty good chances of leapfrogging the Titans and getting into the playoffs. For the remaining teams, really, kind of the Dolphins just kind of have to correct the ship here a little bit. Lost a close one to the Bills, lost a close one to the Chargers. It wasn't really close against the Niners. Your last one was against the Texans. You got the Packers in Miami. They're feeling themselves a little bit. You got a trip to Foxborough in January. God be with you. That's a loss. Then you got the Jets at home. I think you're going to go 2-1. I think you're going to beat the Packers and the Jets at home. That leaves you at 10-7. Right? The Chargers' remaining schedule, they're at the Colts. They're going to go 3-0. They play the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. They're going to go 3-0. So you're going to have to go play you're either going to have to go on the road and play take your goddamn pick of just hellish scenarios. Buffalo again. Because you're going to be the worst wild card in the division, probably. And if you're 2-1, basically, you're 2-1. But if you lose that game to New England, I think they have, I think it'll be point differential at that point. So as long as you lose close to the Patriots, even if you go 2-1 and the Patriots go 3-0, you'll get in by tiebreaker. I think the Patriots are going to lose the Bengals and lose the Bills, so I think they're going to go 1-2. I think their one win is going to be against Miami. And then for the Jets, I truly don't think they're going to beat the Jags. And I don't think they're going to beat y'all, the Dolphins, at your place. Especially if Mike White isn't back yet either. I think their only chance of wins the Seahawks, but I don't think the Seahawks. I think the Jets might finish the season 7-10. But it's probably going to be more like 1-2. I think they're going to grab one of those games. My guess would be the Seahawks. So I think their playoff spot's secure. It's just take your pick of you got to go to Buffalo again, where you're definitely not going to win. Go to KC, or go on the road to the Bengals, which is probably your best of the three. But it's still a terrible option compared to the Ravens are probably going to go get to play the Jags or Titans, right? And the Chargers get the other one in that. So yeah, God be with you. Again, on the NFC, again, the whole NFC East is in the playoffs at the moment. Eagles are probably going to win the conference and get the first round bye. It might actually play out to Miami for the best if Buffalo does end up being the best team because they don't have to play them at home in the first round. Because the longer you go in the playoffs, the less the home field matters, is my textbook analysis of it. I think it matters in the early rounds because the talent discrepancy is kind of big, so that home field advantage can help elevate that. But the later you get in the playoffs, the more the talent just kind of makes the crowd awash, really. The Eagles are probably going to get the first round bye. Detroit surging, I think that's probably the only real analysis. I mean, again, we can look at the Seahawks. They dropped the game I said they should not have dropped. They dropped that game. I knew they were going to drop the game to the Niners. They're going to drop that game to the Chiefs. You know, again, they have a very good possibility of going 1-4 from last week or 1-3 in the next week. So I think they'll beat the Rams. But I don't think they're beating the Chiefs on the road, and I don't think they're going to beat the Jets. So them being 1-3, they're out. They're out, right? And that leaves the door open for the Lions, who get to play the Bears. So that's a win. You get the Panthers, Bears, and Packers. They can go 3-0. I'd say they're probably going to drop one of those games. It's either going to be the Bears or to the Packers. But I think they go 2-1, and that'll be enough for them to make the playoffs. Because I don't think Washington's going to finish the year 2-1, especially after such a demoralizing loss. It depends if the Cowboys rest players that week. Again, I don't think that's in Jerry Jones' nature. They're not going to go beat the Niners. And they might very well lose to the Browns. The Browns are not a good football team, but Washington's run defense hasn't been the world's best this year. Their pass rush has been really good, but I don't think they're going to go 0-3 either. But really, all that matters is that if they don't have the same amount of wins as the Lions, they're done. So they have to keep pace with the Lions, and I think there's two games that are very droppable there, whereas the Lions only have one game, in my opinion, that are very droppable, which means the Lions end up with a better chance to take that spot. I think the Giants, barring a complete collapse, will probably get in. Good job on Brian Dabble. Probably, maybe Coach of the Year. They've been slumping as of late. They got the Vikings on the road. That's probably a loss. They have the Colts, and they definitely will be resting players, Eagles. So they could definitely finish the season 2-1. Even if they finish it 1-3, they'll be 9-8, which, or they'll be, my bad, 9-7-1. As long as, again, they can And that's all the Washington has to do is be 9-7-1 at the end of this too, by the way. Or they'll be 10-7-1. My apologies. Yeah, all I have to do is just win more games. They got to keep the same amount of wins. I did terrible math. It is 9-7-1. If they're 9-7-1 and the Giants are 9-7-1, the Lions are out. If any of them drop 2 games in the next 3 weeks, they're done. And then for the NFC South, let the worst team win at this point. This is just hilarious. First going into the also Jalen Hurts is probably still MVP, even though he's gonna be out the next 2 weeks. Even though Patrick Mahomes is still my MVP, I think Jalen Hurts is still gonna win, and Justin Jefferson's gonna get OPOI. So get out of the way. Tonight's game is the Jags and Jets. I think the Jags will win that game. Lions, Panthers, Lions, Bills, Bears. Oh, gotta be with the Bears again. It's in Chicago at least, right? Hey, it's in Chicago. Bills, but still, Bills by a lot. I hope Justin Fields has a good time out there. Saints, Browns, Seahawks, Chiefs, Giants, Vikings, Patriots, Bengals, Titans beat the Texans. If Lamar Jackson's ready to go, which I'm actually not 100% on, that's my whole bet. If they will, if Tyler Huntley's making the start, well, it's about to be a mid-off and a half. Desmond Rivers is Tyler. I think Desmond Rivers is gonna get his first win because Tyler Huntley. Harbaugh does not know how to run the offense with Huntley in. The Falcons. Niners will beat the Commanders. I think the Cowboys will beat the Eagles. I like Gardner Minshew, but Hurts is, and all this turned about minus Hurts, minus Dallas Goedert. Even though the Eagles defense is stout, I think the Cowboys are going to come back from last week and win this game. Steelers will beat the Raiders. Dolphins will beat the Packers. Broncos will beat the Rams. Or actually, no, Brett Rypien starting. Oh, that's a hard game to call. It's in LA. I'll give it to the Rams, actually. Buccaneers will beat the Cardinals. And the Chargers will beat the Colts. That is the end of the discussion on that end. Now to move on to a little bit of Pro Bowl football talk. The Pro Bowl came out. As they know, the Pro Bowl game isn't really happening anymore. Oh, before we move to the Pro Bowl, I just want to say rest in peace to the legend of the game, Franco Harris. The best fullback to ever do it, one of the best rushers the league's ever seen, a titan of the game, great ambassador for the game, both on and off the field. Kind of just what it meant to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, a great ambassador for that team, and again for the sport of football as a whole. He will be dearly, dearly missed. One of the best players, if not the best player in NFL history, and I just can't say it enough. He's just a titan of the game. And to all the people he's touched, I'm praying for y'all, and to him and his family, I'm also praying for y'all. Again, to the Penn State community, to the Steelers, and to the NFL as a whole, and to people who like football. It was a great loss. And not much else to say, but I mean, he's left a mark on this world that will not be forgotten. So, on to the Pro Bowl rosters now. Pro Bowl, they aren't really doing like a skills competition flat. There isn't like a game anymore, but I still think being voted to it matters. For the AFC, your quarterbacks are Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. Tua's probably your biggest snub out of this. You know, you're splitting hairs really between Burrow and Tua. I think Tua probably should get the edge there, but he got the fan vote. But the executive and player vote matters more at the end of the day, and Tua did miss that time. Running backs, Chubb, Jacobs, Henry. You don't have any complaint from me. Ricard gets fullback, and Dan Nigga's been playing tight end, basically. Receivers, Hill, Diggs, Adams. Again, no complaint from me. Tight ends, Kelsey and Andrews. Tackles, Tunsil, Armstead, and Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown bouncing back really well with the Chiefs. Guards, Bentono, Quinn Nelson, and Joe Tooney. I think Quinn Nelson is going to be very similar to a guy who's going to be later on his style. So like Khalil Mack's kind of a legacy Pro Bowl guy where it's like he's not having his best year, but he's a Pro Bowl level talent still. It's just kind of the Colts as a whole, but especially the offensive line has been kind of off this year. Centers, Creed Humphrey, Mitch Morse. No complaints. Defensive ends, Garrett, Crosby, Hendrickson. Again, most of this is pretty uncontroversial to me. Defensive tackle Jones and Quinn Williams, I think, gets his first Pro Bowl vote. Good for him. Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans as well. Outside linebacker Judon Mack Watt. I think Watt might be your only one of concern because he did miss 7 games. He is still one of your better talents in the league, but inside linebackers Roquan and C.J. Mosley. C.J. Mosley finally being healthy for a considerable amount of time. That's good. Cornerback Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain, Marlon Humphrey, Xavier Howard. Again, 0 complaints. My only complaint is going to be an NFC cornerback. I think J.C. Horn is probably the biggest snub on here. Him and Tua. I think you should probably just give it to Tua over Joe Burrow, but Minkah Fitzpatrick is your free safety. Your strong safeties are Derwin James and Jordan Pryor. Again, no complaints here. I don't know who the long snapper is. I'm going to be real with you. Tommy Townsend booms that shit. Devin Duvernay is a great returner, and I don't follow gunners in the league, but I bet Justin Hardy's really good at his job. NFC quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins. I think Geno Smith's the best storyline on here, and I think if Justin Fields didn't start out the year so bad, he would have been in instead of Geno Smith. Is that a snub? I mean, it could be construed as one. I just think Justin Fields started off the year mainly due to play calling and not using his legs a bit slower. So Geno Smith's going to get that. And again, the story is much better for that as well. So good for Geno. Good for Geno Smith. I mean, first Pro Bowl in a 10-year career. I mean, you can't. He's going to get paid this offseason. I don't know if that's a good thing, but he's going to get paid. Running back, Saquon, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders. No complaints, really. There, fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, of course. Wide receivers, Jefferson, Brown, Lamb, Terry. This is another one. Amon-Ra probably should have got in over CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion, or Terry. I think I'm about to actually sit down and look at them, but let's actually do it right now. Sorry, just gonna go pull them up and just pull up a side by side real quick. As I'm getting that. Sorry, that's what I get for forgetting how the comparison thing works on how the comparison works. There it is. Oh wow, that was bad. And then we'll just do 2022, and we're gonna just pull up all of them. Amon-Ra, that's just a hard ass name. 2022, and then we'll pull up CeeDee Lamb. Just because. Yeah. Cool. I don't know why I only did. Alright, you just have to do it the manual way then. I'm sorry for that. Just gonna switch windows here. There. Cool. Terry on the year, 68 catches, 1,015 yards, 3 TDs. He did kind of get jumped last game. CeeDee Lamb on the year, 81 catches, 1,087 yards, 6 TDs, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown. Played 13 games, 89 catches, 974 yards, 6 TDs. I think with the one less game, Murray hurt him in the raw stats. However, I think the per-game production and the talent probably deserves to get it over one of those two. He's definitely the first alternate on the list. Tight ends are Kittle and Hawkinson. No real complaints. Cole Kmet could have made a late, or Mike Gesicki made. No, Mike Gesicki's for the other one, but because Mark Andrews kind of had a bad second half of the year. Trent Williams, again, Hall of Famer. Lane Johnson, Tristan Wirfs, that's tackle, no complaints. Zach Marr, another Hall of Famer. Landon Dickinson, Chris Lindstrom getting his first Pro Bowl, really developed real well. Another pair, Jason Kelsey, another Hall of Famer. Frank Ragnow, another longtime great center. Your defensive ends, Nick Bosa, Brian Burns. That's the other guy who leads the Panthers defense. And DeMarcus Lawrence are your ends. Your tackles, Donald Allen, Dexter Lawrence gets his first one. Good choices. Outside linebacker, Parsons, Zadarius Smith after being cast off from the Packers to the Vikings. And Hassan Reddick. Great choices. Inside linebacker, Fred Warner, Demario Davis, your usual suspects. Cornerback, Darius Slay, Trayvon Diggs, Tariq Woolen. Yeah, I'm cutting Trayvon Diggs for J.C. Horn. No doubt in my mind. Free safeties, Quandre Diggs, great choice. Strong safety, Budda Baker, and Hufanga from the 49ers. Punter, Tress Way. Kicker, Jason Myers. Kevon Turpin and Jeremy Reeves is the gunner for the Commanders, who's a good story as well. All in all, I like all-pro teams a bit more than I like Pro Bowls, but I think it's good to discuss. Again, no real like stunners this year, other than really probably Tua missing it will be my biggest one, and then like minor controversies with like Fields, Amon-Ra, and then J.C. Horn missing it. Trayvon Diggs plays for the Cowboys; he's going to get the most run. But that's all I really have for the Poverty Franchise Podcast NFL Roundup. It's been PJ signing off. Merry Christmas and have a great rest of y'all's day.